Hey, we are two Star Wars nerds, and today we are really talking about, was Anakin Skywalker a good character in Attack of the Clones? And you know what, before we get going, this is part of our Why We Love The Prequels series, and you know what, if you love the prequels, hit that red subscribe button, because we would love for you to be a part of the discussion here, and we have something really cool coming up that we don't want you to miss out on.
Yeah.
And without further ado, you know, a big complaint about this movie that I once held, actually, is that Anakin was whiny and angsty and emotional and overly romantic and cheesy. And so I wanted to revisit this and really look at this objectively, say, is that criticism fair or is it not? And, you know, we have some notes in front of us we want to go through quickly. But before we do, this is your second favorite Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Which is crazy and rare. You never hear anybody say that.
I love
And so,
Attack of the Clones.
just off the top, when you hear that criticism, what do you think? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's wrong? What do you think?
Well, kind of like I've said before, growing up, I didn't know people didn't like the prequels. Like, as an adult, like seeing YouTube videos and stuff, this is all news to me. I loved them. I dressed up and went to the midnights, had my little Padawan braid. Like, I was all about it. Me and my friends remade random scenes.
Tried to.
Yeah, like I was all about it. And I never, as a kid, I never saw any of that. And I think it's different, you know, being a girl, you know, with the romance and stuff. We tend to like that more usually. So I can understand the difference from your perspective. But yeah, I from my perspective, in my opinion, I don't think it's a fair criticism. I think he is being exactly who George Lucas created him to be, because you have to think, like, yeah, he's kind of cheesy because he's not at school, you know, with kids, seeing how other kids interact with their crushes and things. He was a slave. Like, he then was essentially a slave in the Jedi order, and you know, he was never able to just really grow up and be normal like the rest of us. So for us, we may have those emotions, but we may, you know, keep them in, whereas Anakin doesn't know. He's an emotional guy, and he just lets them out. And I don't think that's a bad thing for males to let their emotions out. I think it's a cool thing. I like that they showed that, but then you also see how it then does. I think that those emotions, even the love and the cheesiness aspect, are what drive him almost to become Darth Vader, because he gets that attachment that you're not supposed to get, you know, being in the Jedi Order. So I think it's actually needed. I think without the emotions of, you know, his love for Padme, his love for his mom, I don't think we would get Darth Vader. He wouldn't have that motivation to go there. So that emotion, I think, is an important part of Anakin and his story development into becoming Darth Vader.
How the heck am I supposed to follow that? Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Man, but no, I agree with you actually really wholeheartedly, and you're the one who actually kind of started getting me more into Attack of the Clones, because what I used to say is I hated the romance part, and I just didn't like Anakin.
Well, to be fair, though, as a girl, I thought he was cute, too. So,
yeah,
I mean,
I didn't really think he was cute. Thought Padme was cute.
Yeah,
but
so
that's
you
different.
get it.
But, you know, when we're thinking about Anakin, you know, putting in context Darth Vader and young Anakin Skywalker, and he's dealing, like, you have a 10-year jump from The Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones, and he talks about how he dreams and has, like, nightmares about his mom, and he dreams about Padme. He's just been thinking about two women, and his mom and this girl he's falling in love with that he hasn't seen in 10 years. And like you mentioned, you know, when he went from slavery to the Jedi Order, he wasn't separated like most younglings.
Right.
He actually had attachments already.
Right, because he's old.
Yeah, and
older.
And you brought up, you know, that's really Yoda's hesitation. But then you get this pain of being separated from his mom, and he's being told to suppress that. You know, don't form attachments. And that's where you get this, I guess you could say, angst or this anger, but then you have that love buried down there. But then there's this undercurrent of you're the chosen one.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
You have a crazy high M count, all of this stuff. And you do see pride in him where he's like, yeah, I know who I am.
Right.
But all of that internally is really tormenting him. And what I find interesting as well is, and I would love to talk about this for a few minutes, is really the struggle between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Because you have master and apprentice. Like, imagine being the master to the chosen one.
Right.
Like, that's a tall order to fulfill. But
and it wasn't even your choice. Like, you didn't want to pick this kid up. And then, when Qui-Gon dies, out of respect for his master, he's like, I will do, what you wanted to do with Anakin.
Yeah, and what I think Qui-Gon Jinn or Yoda would have been the best master for Anakin.
Yeah.
But Obi-Wan ends up being the one who is training him. But what's really interesting is you have Obi, who is very formal, very by the book, and Anakin, who's very independent.
Right.
And he wants to do things his own way. And we recently got the Attack of the Clones visual dictionary, picked it up at Goodwill, and going through that, even things like looking at Obi-Wan's Jedi outfit, his Jedi robe and everything. It was very traditional, where Anakin took a different approach with darker colors and heavier leather and things like this. It was very unique. So again, even on the physical appearance, they're at odds with one another.
I think a huge part of that is with Anakin is he wanted to be an individual. He was a slave, and so he's trying to find his identity, and he's like, I want to be different. I don't want to look like everyone else. And I just think that's part of his development. So I think it wasn't even necessarily in a bad place that he was doing that. He's just trying to find himself in who he was. Sounds
like middle school, pretty much. You're trying to find your way in the world,
right?
And even with that, trying to be an individual. What's interesting is Obi-Wan's lightsaber is the traditional honoring model of making it after their master. Taking parts and inspiration, where Anakin, his came from a time of meditation, and his was more so focused on strength.
Right.
He didn't necessarily want to model his lightsaber after Obi-Wan's. Instead, he's like, I want to focus on strength, and I want to be as strong as I possibly can be. And one thing I found interesting as well is just the detail George Lucas put into this, because and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but Obi-Wan's droid R4 is built into his ship, where Anakin has R2, and R2 is free, and you see R2 go and do whatever he wants. And I think that is really telling of part of Anakin's struggle as well, and why he was the way he was, because everything about Obi-Wan was like, even though he's amazing and he's awesome, it was like
Obi-Wan.
By the book, where Anakin was like more of a free spirit. I'm gonna do what I want to do. You can't hold me back. And that's, I think there's a lot of tension there, and you see it in all these different lines through the movie where he's like, oh, Obi-Wan's gonna kill me, and he's like, he's submitting to him, but then you also have it where he's angry at Obi-Wan, and he's like getting fired up.
Well, and there's that tension of Anakin seeing Obi-Wan as a father, whereas Obi-Wan sees Anakin as a brother.
Yeah.
And that's obviously gonna cause some tension, because they're looking at each other differently. I mean, both places of love, but father-son relationship is very different from a brother-to-brother relationship. So then when one's trying to act like you're my father, and then he's treating him like a brother, it's confusing.
Oh, yeah. And, I think with just considering all of that, and we could probably spend so much more time diving into this, but considering all of that, I think that Anakin is exactly right in this movie. I think Hayden Christensen,
he did an amazing job,
delivered and did exactly what George wrote.
Yep.
And are there some cheesy lines? a little bit, I'll give it that. For me, I'm like, some of the writing wasn't like A+, but I think overall the overarching theme of Anakin in this movie, fitting into the rest of the George Lucas saga, it is absolutely incredible. And I don't think the criticism is due for Anakin in this movie.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on your old crush, Anakin Skywalker?
Well, I liked Luke when I was younger, and then it moved, and I'm like, well, that's weird. I like Luke's dad. It was kind of weird.
Well, I wasn't asking you to go over every Star Wars crush you had.
No, I know, but no, I don't have anything to add
I mean, we're
on
married now, so I'm secure.
I don't have anything to add on that.
Okay, cool. Well,
do you have anything to add on your Padme crush?
No, it's gone now, but it was there. But, let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think that Anakin Skywalker was a good character in Attack of the Clones, or do you think he was a little insufferable and annoying? Let us know. We want discourse back and forth. And if you're not subscribed already, hit that red subscribe button. Hit the bell notification, because we have something really cool coming up we don't want anybody to miss. And with that, we are two Star Wars nerds, and may the Force be with you always.